The problem I'm trying to solve today is the problem of tuning in a guitar. Guitars are, by virtue of the fact that they have different size strings, but they generally have straight frets, inherently out of tune. And any kind of tuning, like not equal temper or some other sort of tuning system. If the nut is straight and the frets are straight, you're in trouble. So it's a particular pet peeve of mine, and so I'm trying to fix it with my Martin D28 guitar. And today we're going to have some fun about nuts. No. In any case, what I have on this guitar here today is a compensated nut made of PLA, not ABS. And this has been modified slightly by me to make this guitar more in tune. This is a Martin D28. And my big problem with guitars in particular is that they hate playing in tune. They hate playing this D chord. It's one of the first chords you learn, and it's always out of tune. And if you get it in tune, typically, then this E major chord is not in tune, and vice versa. But this is pretty in tune, so my B is in tune, and the D is slightly sharp. But not really that much. My biggest problem is that I hate these strings. These are actually Martin strings. And so I'm going to change them for some DR strings, which I have traditionally liked better. But first, I thought we'd do a quick little non-scientific experiment. That is the PLA nut, compensated. Well, any hope for science was quickly dashed by the fact that I broke the G string, restringing this guitar while putting on the original Martin bone nut. I still hate the way the E sounds, the low E. Can I hear a difference in the higher notes? I mean, other than them being out of tune? I don't know. But in any case, I hate these strings, so I'm going to change the strings. And there's a cat who is now attacking the G string because it's awesome to do that. So here's a quick rundown of nuts that I have. This was the original nut for the Martin D28. This is the Irvana replacement nut. And I put that in and was not entirely happy with the intonation. And then these are a whole bunch of mistakes. These are ABS plastic. And this is a PLA plastic one, which is actually, it's a fairly good nut, but it's more of a electric guitar sized than acoustic guitar sized. And here's a Tyrannosaurus mouse pick for, for scale. Alright, and these are the DR strings. And I'm back to the compensated PLA 3D printed nut. Boy, these strings just sound, especially this low E. I mean, even without a pick, it just has so much more, that thing that I... With the Martins, I don't know, the strings just felt like, they feel like electric guitar strings. Whereas these DRs... So what we're looking at here is the 3D printing using a Wasp 3D printer at the Fab Lab of a nut using a kind of ABS plastic. It's actually some sort of natural fiber plant-based plastic. And I made some tests using this. It's about a 7-minute build. And, I only destroyed a couple of them by the plastic not sticking to the bed. But also, these Martins have two other issues. One is the truss rod is not adjustable, which, yeah. And the other thing, which is common to pretty much all acoustic guitars, is that the bridge and the saddle, you can't adjust the height, you can't adjust the intonation, you sort of have to just, whatever happened at this factory is what you get. I don't know. So what I did in order to make this model is I took the basic model off of file off the internet, but then I found it was just exactly the wrong size. It was a little bit too high and it was not quite wide enough. And then I also found that I wanted the intonation to be slightly different than what it did. So I brought it into Blender and I made some slight alterations before exporting it in Cura as G-code. Now, one thing that's definitely true is that a bone saddle or even a good plastic one, or a bone nut or a good plastic nut, won't bind as much as this does. This binds a lot. The ABS seems to bind even more. Also, I'm getting a little bit of buzz on this D. The neck, I'll tell you the truth, I left this guitar unstrung for a better part of a year. Because I had taken strings, I forget why. I took the strings off and then I was like, oh, but I want to replace the nut, and then I didn't replace the nut, and then I didn't put new strings on because I was like, well, but I don't have a record that I want to record with it yet, and whatever. Peculiar thing about this guitar for the longest time, actually since I've owned it, it's a 1980, but I bought it in 1997, maybe. The sound from it has always come out of, not the hole really, but somewhere here is where it's kind of developed. But now, after being left unstrung for a year and then getting new strings on it, that it now behaves like a normal guitar. So it behaves like a normal D28. I don't know. So, my conclusion, I don't really care about what the nut is made out of, and I do kind of like compensated nuts, because compensated nut is funny to say, and because that makes things a little bit more in tune. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. I think those are the things you're supposed to do. And I will talk more about, guitars and nuts.